Who are some players that you should be trading for in fantasy football for week 6? I'm going to give you my top trade targets, guys that will help you win your fantasy football championships. I make new content like this every single day, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. With that being said, let's get into the video. The first player that you need to try to target right now is going to be Chase Edmonds. This past weekend, it was not a good game from Chase Edmonds, and you probably have fantasy managers who are a little bit concerned, especially about his red zone usage, where you have James Conner, who's vulturing the touchdowns. But I'm here to tell you, if you have Chase Edmonds, hold on to him, and if you don't, go out and see if the manager's worried about Chase Edmonds and try to get Chase Edmonds off of their hands. Chase Edmonds will be a top 20 back for the rest of the season, and here's why. Currently, he's third in the NFL at the running back position in target share with 17%. He has the 6th highest route participation amongst all running backs. He's currently top 20 in red zone touches. He's averaging 2.5 a game right now. He's third in targets amongst the running backs, and he's playing over 60%, 62% of his team snaps. That's all really good. That's what you want to see from your running backs. Remember, in your PPR leagues, receptions are much more valuable than rushing attempts. So we want these receiving backs. Right now, once the touchdowns start to come a little bit for Chase Edmonds, he will be a top 20 back. Go out and get him as a top 20 guy in fantasy football. So Chase Edmonds is the first player. The next player on the list is going to be Elijah Mitchell. And this past weekend, it wasn't the greatest in terms of fantasy football production. And this team goes into a bye week, which obviously you won't be able to play him this week. So in my opinion, this makes a great buy low chance for you right now on Elijah Mitchell. And this past weekend, it was very telling on how this team views this current rookie running back situation. Elijah Mitchell is the guy that we thought Trey Sermon was going to be this upcoming season. He's the guy that we wanted Trey Sermon to be. Elijah Mitchell played on nearly 70% of this team snaps, 68%, to Trey Sermon's 3%. He played on 2 snaps this past weekend. Elijah Mitchell is clearly the lead guy here. Now you're going to have JaMycal Hasty come back and Jeff Wilson comes back. Now remember, the first week of the season, Elijah Mitchell was clearly ahead of JaMycal Hasty at that point. And I think that, well, you already had Kyle Shanahan say a couple weeks ago that you're going to have Jeff Wilson, who's not going to be ready until November. So we're going to wait till November until he comes back. Elijah Mitchell is going to get a couple games in before then, and he's going to have a chance to really showcase himself. And I think that even when Jeff Wilson comes back, Elijah Mitchell has the chance to be this team's leading running back. Since 2018, the 49ers right now are averaging the 9th most rushing attempts per season. So this is a team that wants to run the football under Kyle Shanahan, an outside zone scheme, which Elijah Mitchell is solid for. He's good for that. Elijah Mitchell is a great player that I would want to buy into right now. Go in, buy Elijah Mitchell while his value is low. The next player on the list is going to be Miles Sanders. And he was a guy that I wasn't overly high on heading into the season. And really since week 1, it has not been that great for Miles Sanders. But there's some hope there for him. The big reason why I didn't like Miles Sanders heading into the season is because of his receiving work. I just didn't think there was a receiving role for him. I thought it would be Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell that would be really involved on third downs. But really, Miles Sanders is seeing decent amount of receiving work right now. Your top tier running backs that are top in fantasy football are also top tier in terms of routes ran. Your top guys are going to be Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Austin Eckler, James Robinson, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift. These are your top guys in terms of routes ran, and they also happen to be top tier guys in fantasy points scored. So Miles Sanders right now is top 10 in routes ran. Chances are he's going to start to pick it up. And this is kind of a gut call as well, but there's some other things that back it. Right now, once again, he's top 10 in routes ran. He's also 12th highest snap share, which will probably go up after this weekend because he just saw a 75% snap share. He had 16 touches. He's also a top-tier athlete. He's a very good athlete at the running back position. I just think that this team knows that they need to get him a little bit more involved in this offense. Better matchups are coming up. This weekend is going to be a really tough matchup against Tampa Bay. But after that, you get the Las Vegas Raiders, Detroit Lions, and Los Angeles Chargers. Good matchups for him on the ground. I would try to buy low right now, especially once he plays Tampa Bay this upcoming weekend, where you probably have a fantasy manager who's probably not going to play him this weekend. So buy low on Miles Sanders. The first wide receiver on the list for me is going to be Odell Beckham Jr. This past weekend was not good for Odell. In a game that accounted for over 1,000 total yards, Odell had 20. He only had 20. So it was very disappointing. But if we look at it a little bit further, we see that the Los Angeles Chargers are actually very good at stopping opposing wide receivers. They're currently giving up the second fewest points to the wide receiver position. They've held guys like Tyreek Hill, Terry McLaurin, Amari Cooper to under 10 fantasy points already this season. CeeDee Lamb is currently the highest scorer with 13. They have yet to allow someone to go over the 100-yard mark on them. So this is a very good defense in terms of stopping opposing wide receivers. Now, in terms of stopping the run, not very good. But this upcoming week, you have the Arizona Cardinals that the Cleveland Browns play this week. They're currently giving up the 8th most points to the wide receiver position. And Odell Beckham Jr. is currently seeing like an elite target share. He's seeing an elite air yard share. Expect him to bounce back this upcoming week against the Arizona Cardinals, in what should be another high-scoring game. So buy in on Odell Beckham Jr. right now. The next guy on the list is going to be A.J. Brown. And there's really no data right now that's going to support me saying that he's going to bounce back. It's just, I have this gut call on him right now. He's way too talented of a wide receiver, has shown elite production over the past 2 years with Ryan Tannehill as the quarterback, is an elite route runner. It's just, it has to change at some point. And I would be buying in on A.J. Brown right now, especially because you have a fantasy manager who's absolutely disappointed. A.J. Brown has been one of the biggest busts of this season so far. And now this week he gets the Buffalo Bills, who are very good at stopping opposing wide receivers. This is one of the best defenses in the NFL. So you know that manager does not feel good about playing A.J. Brown right now. So what I would be doing is I would go out and talk to the fantasy manager and see if you can get A.J. Brown off of their team. Now, he may still be a little hard to get off of their team, and maybe next week would be a better chance to buy low on him. But I just think that he's way too talented. He's had success before in this offense with Ryan Tannehill to not change things and get it turned around. So A.J. Brown for me is a great buy low candidate. The next guy on the list for me is going to be Devonta Smith. And this isn't really like a buy low. It's kind of like how I talked last week with Michael Pittman. It's not really so much a buy low. Just buy him where he's not correctly being valued. Devonta Smith is a wide receiver too. He's a wide receiver too with a lot of upside as the season progresses. Right now, you have Devonta Smith, who's seeing elite target share in air yards. Those are the two things that we really want to see from our wide receivers. He's one of the top in terms of air yards right now. Air yards separate alpha wide receivers from your regular wide receiver. He is an absolute alpha wide receiver, and he's kind of being overshadowed right now because Jamar Chase is having a phenomenal season, but he's also having a really solid season himself. Now, there's two games right there that we saw against Dallas and San Francisco that weren't the best, but this upcoming week against Tampa Bay, who's currently giving up the most points to the wide receiver position, you want to get him right now. I don't think he's going to be very expensive to attain. And right now, once again, it's not so much a buy low opportunity. It's buy where the market is not correctly valuing him. So go and get him. He's an elite wide receiver that is going to get better as the season progresses. So that does it. That's all my wide receiver running back targets right now that you need to try to be trading for. So if you have any questions, drop it down below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.